Anna Maria Kowalik Bartucci. How are you?
I am very well this morning. And you, Matteo?
I am doing great, and I'm very thankful to have you here in my show.
Oh, and I am so honored that you reached out to me and allow me this opportunity.
Very good. We're going to talk about your career almost, and I don't want to be disrespectful or date anything, but almost 40 years in the real estate industry. That's a lot of experience and wisdom right there, right? And so there are a million things we can talk about there. I just want to start talking about today. What do you do today for a living for the benefit of the audience?
So today I'm a Senior Vice President, Director of Business Development with Inland Green Capital. And we are what our name says it is. We provide financing for sustainability projects. And we do that via a special financing tool here in the US called Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy Financing, CPACE for short as the acronym. And this is a unique product because it is what its name says it is also, property assessed. So it's a debt instrument that is repaid via the special assessment mechanism on the tax bill. And so here in the US, every state has a slightly different, nuanced tax law for their particular state. And so this product must be legislated state by state and enabled for transactional purposes. And then once it is enabled, there is a program that is developed around this tool, which helps provide the rules and regulations and guidelines according to the state legislation. And here in the US, we've had 38 states and Washington, D.C. Join into the program nationally. They have enabled the legislation in each of these states. And then about 32 programs are active and up and running at this time. And in the state of Illinois, where we're located, I'm in the greater Chicagoland area, we have also helped found and provide seed money for a nonprofit organization that does the program administration for the state of Illinois as well for CPACE financing. So we are now in 15 counties, which represent 75% of the commercial properties and about 80% of the population, and perform these transactional facilitations. And so we consider ourselves expert in this industry.
Very nice. What do you like the most about your job?
I think, I've always been a people person. I love people, and I've always been very customer service oriented in anything I've done. I've come from a property and asset management background, and so I used to deal, I was with a shopping center REIT for many years, and love to deal with the day-to-day problem solving and helping tenants out. And then in this industry, I'm really enjoying helping people make their properties more efficient. And I feel like we're making an impact also on the environment, one project at a time. And I kind of like that. It's the little ripples in the water that create the waves eventually. So that's my philosophy. And I always say the future is green. So it's a hopeful kind of an enterprise.
Very nice. You get to make an impact to see the impact that you're making and help the society at large, right?
Correct.
Who's your typical customer?
We have a lot of smaller commercial property owners who are doing retrofit projects. So they own a building or an office building, an industrial building, maybe a multifamily facility, because we will consider multifamily if it's rental apartments. If there are 5 units and greater, that's considered commercial. So this is for commercial financing only. And they can do any number of energy efficiency measure upgrades, renewable energies, or water conservation, which is very important in many states and many parts of the world, in fact. And so the simplest project, like a window replacement to an older building with the aging windows, those can leak like a sieve. And so it's doing the improvement helps create a more air and watertight space, and therefore create energy efficiencies with consumption, and then the lowering of utility bills, which helps offset the financing for the project being done. And so it's kind of a win-win situation across the board.
Very nice. Let's go back in time a little bit, right?
Yes.
I want to first learn, what did you study as a major and why? And what was it like back then?
Okay, so I went to what used to be an all-girls Catholic college, but it was by the time I got there, they had just opened up to the male population.
Oh, you were one of the pioneers trying the new experiment.
Exactly. And so at the time, I was very enamored of my mother's home country. Actually, I'm Italian on both sides of my family, and I was made in Italy and born in the US. So I always felt a little more Italian blood flowing through my veins. And so I used to, as a teenager, go every 2 years, travel to Italy on my own because I loved it so much. I had my grandparents there and on my mother's side, and she was the oldest of 7. So all the aunts and uncles and all my cousins, we had no family in Chicago. My dad was an only child, and so, very restricted on his side. And so it was just such a wonderful family environment. And so it caused me in school to want to continue to study languages, but also at the same time study international finance. And so those are the 2 degrees that I received in international finance, a BS and a BA in the Italian language, although I minored in what was called then modern foreign languages, which were more the Latin-based languages, and so French and Spanish, although don't test me on that because it's been so long. And my Spanish professor used to say, that's Italian. Stop speaking Italian, stop confusing it. And then my French teacher, I could never catch the guttural accent, would say, you're speaking French with an Italian accent. I said, I don't even speak Italian with an Italian accent. So it was pretty funny coming from that type of background. But
how do you, when you compare kind of the US versus Italy? So I live in Uruguay, and Uruguay has a lot of immigration from Spain and Italy, right? And so
yes.
Sundays, Saturdays for me were always go to my grandma's house, one side or the other, and then, 15 to 20 cousins having lunch together, right? That's what family means to me. I know the US has greater mobility, and so people move around, right? And families don't stick together the same way that they do in other places. Was Italy like that for you? Like lots of cousins, everyone gets together to eat, how
Yes.
would you describe that?
We always had the kitchen, we had no space to walk or move because there were so many chairs at the table.
Right.
And every day was like a holiday, a feast. All of the food, the many courses, and family is definitely the most important thing. Now, here, for example, in the US, I have 4 children. 3 of them live out of state.
Right.
And so, and I have 10 grandchildren, and all of them are out of state. And so it's difficult to be able to find the time, especially as busy as my professional life is as well, to visit as often as I'd like. And if I visit twice a year, that's 2 here, 2 there, 2 there. That's 6 times a year I'm traveling already. And
Right.
and that's aside from especially since COVID, I've been caring for my elderly parents.
Oh, okay.
More and more responsibilities there. Actually, then Dad was put into a nursing home and ended up passing earlier this year. And Mom had a stroke just before Dad passed. And so she is now in assisted living, and because she requires more care than I could provide 24 hours a day.
Right.
So I visit 4 times a week, and I'm constantly busy between Mom and the children and grandchildren and this very active career. But I've learned over the years to be able to balance and kind of do it all. And I feel very blessed. Uh, you know, uh, my faith, I think, supports me first and foremost. And then I have a wonderful husband who's been a great support these last few years.
Very happy about that. Are you Catholic?
Yeah, no, well, actually, I'm Christian.
Okay.
And so I was born Catholic, and I've embraced a more biblical evangelical faith.
Okay. Do you go to church once a week?
Yes, every opportunity. And in fact, this weekend, I'll be there 2 or 3 times because we also have a check-in marriage evening on Friday night, kind of a
Okay.
date night. And then I will be attending service, of course. And so faith is a very important part of my life. And I think it guides a lot of what I do. And so uh, taking care of the earth and taking care of resources and not being wasteful. My kids used to, and no disrespect or no non politically correct type of
Right.
measurement, but my kids used to call me the recycling Nazi because I was just always trying to uh, 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 help them recycle. And no, you can't throw that in there. You have to throw it in the other bin and make sure you rinse it out. And I've always had a care level. And perhaps as a mother and a grandmother, there's that natural nurturing. And so I've always wanted to nurture and, help maintain the earth and all of the blessings that it provides us every day. So
It's funny how life works because you are now at the perfect place, right? Mixing everything that you like, real estate, helping recycling, sustainability. It's all stuff that you are very passionate about and that have been a part of your life. How did you get it? So you did international finance, and then you got into real estate. How did that work out?
So, in those days, no one just decided, I'm going into real estate. It was something that just kind of happened. And so I had been working. At first, I had worked right after college. I had went into the finance industry. I had worked for the First National Bank of Chicago at the time, the iconic building downtown Chicago. It's white, and then it has sides that are like slopes, and so I worked there for about 4 years before I got married the first time. And once I married, we had decided we wanted children, and so I was a stay-at-home mom for a few years until we decided that we needed. My ex was then self-employed, and so we needed insurance. And so I went to work part-time for insurance purposes, and had spent 17 years with a major commercial entity, a grocer in the Chicagoland area, where the first part of my career, I did payroll and benefits, but then an opportunity opened up in their real estate department. And I thought, oh, this sounds really interesting. And it's contracts. And I went to a little bit of law school after college as well. I never completed it because I had to work full time at the bank and go to school at night, which kind of put my health in a precarious situation. So I ended up abandoning that path. But all of my positions over the years have always brought me to the law. I just had that natural tendency. And so dealing with contracts and with leases came very natural to me. And so I continued my career at the grocer in the real estate division. And I thought, well, why not get my real estate license as well? And so I began studying aside from my employer, and received my Illinois, which at that time was an agent's license, and now we're all brokers. And so I've maintained my license over the years. And before I knew it, another opportunity just presented itself through some friends that said, there's this opening for a property management position at the Inland Group, in fact. So I've been with Inland most of my adult life. And it's like family. And so I received that position, and at that time I was going through a divorce when I was studying for my real estate license. And so I thought, well, this is a good backup in case I have any issues. And sure enough, it was a rough start, raising 4 kids on my own, and trying to provide for them while working, and doing the whole single mom thing for over 10 years. But I became stronger, and I learned a lot, and I really enjoyed working in the real estate industry. And so I continued to progress, and eventually our company was a REIT. It was at first a private REIT, but then it went publicly traded. And so we were on the New York Stock Exchange for about 12 to 14 years, went through kind of the whole iteration of a public company, reprivatized, and then we were bought out by a New York hedge fund company. And that's how I became then available for this position. And at the last position, I had started a sustainability committee where we took on a very simple project at first. We owned 165 shopping centers at the time, and 16 of those only had exterior landscape irrigation systems. So I had researched rain sensors for these systems so that when rain would happen, the sensors would cause the irrigation system to shut off. Sounds like a very simple concept. How much can you save? Let me tell you, lots and lots. We ended up saving at one shopping center alone thousands of dollars in water bills and millions of gallons of water just by the rain sensors coming on and shutting down the system so that there wasn't a duplication of water usage. It was incredible, such a success that we then went to the next step of putting in LED lighting at all of the parking lots of the shopping centers. And we would do about 30 or so a year. And then finally, my last year with that company, we had just completed that project. And unfortunately, but fortunately, because now I'm in this position and I'm loving this just as much. So, but that seemed like a perfect progression and how things are meant to be. I believe they're truly meant to be.
It's a very nice story, and there's so much more into it. How big is sustainability today in real estate? You mentioned your company being in 38 states, and the legislation that has been adopted by all of these states and Washington D.C. as well. So it's huge, right? And it keeps growing. How does it look?
So the Inland group of companies is like a parent umbrella organization. And I like to say that, when you hold the stick of the umbrella, on the one side, there are about some 26 or so companies that are wholly owned and self-managed subsidiary companies under that umbrella. On the other side of the stick are 20 some additional companies that are internal companies, but they are their own companies as well, that provide support for the subsidiaries. So we all share in the costs for cost efficiency sakes in HR and IT and taxes and accounting and office facilities and so many different other support services to the rest of the companies. And so this model was one of the first of its kind back 56 years ago when the company was first started by 4 school teacher college buddies who started investing friends and family funds to buy rental units, and they grew, to own large properties of many multifamily buildings, and then eventually that went so well that they became commercial property owners. They've developed REITs, both private and a couple that have spun on to public. They have also done a huge 1031 exchange business and securities and you name it, any facet of real estate from residential through commercial, the Inland Group nationally has done it. And so 56 years and still going strong. And three of our founding fathers are still in the office every day managing the greater business of the Inland Group of companies.
Wow. What technology excites you the most today? And I guess you're seeing a lot of trends, right? You talked about irrigation, you talked about LED lights. I assume there's a lot of solar energy. I don't know, million things going on. Different, like glasses now that can keep energy in a different way. Like, and you see those every day. Is there any specific one that excites you that like blows your mind, or all of them?
I think those windows that adjust and that can be electronically adjusted. I mean, I think that's amazing. It's always amazed me, even throughout my property management history, the building system controls, uh, where you walk into a room and it lights up, and when you walk away, it conserves the electricity. Same with HVAC. You walk in and it's already, or you can have it preheated during the winter, and then it's all under controls. I think those are just amazing. I've seen like with air purification systems, especially since COVID, air and water purification systems and the technologies used, to more infrared and trying to, see where the heat signatures are within a space. And I'm not sure I understand all of the technologies that are out there, but they're just amazing. And I really am looking forward to doing more geothermal because I've learned a little bit about that, and I see the potentials there, and with hydrogen, uh, green hydrogen opportunities as well. Uh, there's just so much out there, and from a resiliency standpoint, it amazes me how architecturally in new construction, one can do such amazing earthquake mitigation measures or flood mitigation. Uh, those, all of these kinds of technologies that bring us to dealing with our situation, of climate and changes that we're seeing throughout the world. We need to become more resilient, and we need to continue to move forward with energy measures that will be paced, and not to use a pun in my world, the C pace, but paced in the sense that we're not doing things too fast,
Right.
where they're done incorrectly, because there is a phasing in that needs to occur in a measured and a logical manner.
How big is the adoption rate, right? Because it sounds like more like a silent revolution, right? Like it's there, it's happening. Maybe people is not talking about it all the time, but in your career you see it, and you see a lot of commercial buildings adopting these measures, right? Do you see adoption is growing as the time goes by?
Absolutely, I do see it growing, and the fact is that worldwide, commercially, when you speak of commercial buildings, or at least here in the U.S., represent almost 40% of emissions to the atmosphere. And so it's important to take the aging infrastructure and improve it. And like I said before, even one building at a time makes such a difference, because you'd be surprised at the metrics that we come up with when we've analyzed what savings have occurred and what consumption has been reduced in order to help with the carbon emissions. And so it is quite daunting to see how one building can make such a difference. And so, yes, silent in the sense, for example, I haven't done a geothermal transaction yet. However, our smaller neighbor to the west, right here in Illinois, Rockford, is doing a lot of geothermal projects.
Right.
And so we know that it's prevalent, becoming more so, and it is being done. And so it's a question of trying to get more of it dispersed. And so knowledge is power, and just knowing that certain things exist, then people look into it, and it's a slow process. It's not something that you can force, or you can put out on a billboard and say, oh, this is so great. It's a relationship industry. All of real estate is. And so it's talking to people, and it's shaking hands, and it's making sense of the dollars and cents, and moving forward in that manner.
Do you see, so there's a lot of comments out there about the pandemic and the impact that had on office buildings, and how, office buildings are, many of them, vacant, and how some of them are transforming even to residential. Do you see that trend as well?
Oh, yes. In fact, I've got one on the table right now. That's a conversion. And I see the same thing happening with the large old shopping malls,
Right.
that are being transformed into livable mini city centers, with entertainment and restaurants and housing, multifamily housing. And so, yes, that transformation is presently occurring, and it's only going to continue, because even I'm working on a hybrid basis. I work from home a couple of days, and I'm in the office a couple, and then I'm out in the field quite a bit,
Right.
doing presentations, attending events, and just getting the CPACE word out there. So
what do you think is the future of your profession? If you had to venture, what your job is going to look like in 10 years from now, what do you think?
I think it's only going to grow. From its inception, it's already evolved. So this product is about 12 years old, give or take. And my company has been in business 10 years, and I've been here almost 6. And so it's a newer product, a newer industry. I'm so sorry. And so it started out as retrofit financing only, a way to get that aging building stock up to date and improved. Now over the years, especially the last 4 or 5, new construction and CPACE as a component of new construction has really evolved and almost taken over the industry, insofar as, especially in these capital markets where there is a lot of volatility, CPACE has been able to fill the gap in the capital stack where conventional lending used to be at a higher loan to cost or loan to value. It's been restricted and reduced, and therefore the need for a gap filler comes in, and so CPACE has done that. I only see the industry becoming larger because of the need. There's going to be a greater need for that private equity money into private projects, because you can only depend on the government so much. I think we're kind of reaching all the limits here, of spending and putting monies into different projects. And so the fund is limited there, but it's a little bit more progressive and unlimited in the private sector. And so I think there's more opportunity to use those funds wisely and deploy them in all of these green measures.
What would be your advice for anyone that is getting started in your field?
These days, there is education available. First and foremost, I'm a big person on education. I think it's an intrinsic part of your development of who you are and how you do things. And so there are real estate programs that never existed when I was in school. There are sustainability programs and degrees in sustainability as well. Aside from all the certifications for LEED and other kinds of programs. If you have a passion, just remember that, you're not studying to get a degree to just do anything, or, and be open to the world, because things can change. And but if you're passionate about something, follow that passion and make it happen. Of my 4 children, 3 of them went to college, but 1 didn't. My entrepreneurial son, and he's very successful with a couple of restaurants. And so if you have that passion, you have something you love to do, just do it. It's very important to do it, but get an education in a realm that you really enjoy, and follow that, and follow all the new and great opportunities for education that continue to grow as the world continues to change.
I have a few last questions I want to ask, and I want to go back to those visits to Italy, and something stuck on my mind. What was your favorite dish back then? Like when you were there, like, oh, I wanna eat this. I can't wait to have this again.
Every day, yes. There was one particular dish, and it may not be that different, but it reminds me, my aunt, who is no longer with us, excuse me, she made the best natural quick sauce with fresh tomatoes right there. Within it seemed like a few minutes, but I'm sure it was a little bit longer. Spaghetti with the long string beans the very thin,
Yeah.
we used to call them occhi pinti, in the Barese dialect, and so it was just these green beans with this sauce and the spaghetti and a cacio ricotta grated on top of it. Oh, good. I
You
could eat
just,
that every day, 10 times a day.
it's almost noon here, and I picture the whole thing. I'm going to eat something different probably, but I'm going to try that recipe. Did she do like, so she will, I assume, just take peel the tomatoes off and do the sauce, and then did she do like olive oil, garlic, and then the tomato
Yes,
thing?
yes. Just
Simple.
very simple. It was the simplest thing, but it was the most delicious. And I think she also made it with love. And that's
Yeah,
the
that's
secret ingredient to every recipe, especially Italian food.
the most important one. Do you like cooking?
I love to cook. Yes. I hate baking. Don't ask me to bake it. I like to make cold desserts like tiramisu, for
Ah,
example, is my favorite. I had one of the original recipes when I was married the first time. We went to Italy on the honeymoon, and my aunt had made it for the first time, and she said that it was one of her friends in Rome who was doing this dessert in their restaurant. And so it was one of the very early stages of tiramisu.
mascarpone.
Oh, mascarpone is my favorite. I will just take it and use it like cream cheese. It's the best.
I'm done.
Nothing like it. Such a mild, nuanced flavor that melts in your mouth. Amazing. Yes.
What do you like doing when you're not working?
When I'm not working, as you can tell, I'm very busy
Yeah.
traveling to family back and forth. I'm helping my mom out.
Going to
We
church.
try, we try to make time for us. My second husband, who is just marvelous, he we make date nights a priority. And so at least, if not once a week, definitely twice a month, we make sure that we make time for us. And then we also make time for friends. And I think maybe that's all part of that Italian growing up with and around people. It's so hard to stay in touch with friends these days. Everyone's so busy. So we put a tentative date on the calendar and then we try to keep it. And so I love trying new restaurants, uh, trying new experiences. We like to go to different fests during the summer and just exploring. And so we've got a split business and pleasure trip coming up next week. In fact, I'll be leaving for San Diego and taking him along. And we're from San Diego, we're going to go to Austin. I have some business down in San Antonio, and then we'll be back in Chicago. But just little jaunts like that, 5, 6 days away, maybe a long weekend sometimes, really makes a huge difference in restoring
Yeah.
you. And I just can't wait to get back to Italy one day soon because it's been a while since pre-COVID. So
We many times forget that that is what life is about.
that's right.
That's what's supposed to be the most important thing, right? We work to be able to do that, right? But
That's right.
we forget that.
We
So I,
do. We do. And you know what? I was caught up for a very long time in raising my children and in doing, all of those mom things. And it was a lot. But I think that's the benefit of being this age, older, wiser. and more relaxed about it, and realizing, that we're all only human and we're all here for just a short amount of time on the face of this earth.
Yeah.
And so let's make the best of it, and let's give proper respect to our families, to ourselves, to our earth, to everything. And that's why I say the future is green.
This has been an amazing conversation, Ana Maria. I love talking to you. You know what I would love? For life to give us the opportunity to share that pasta with the green things and the tomato sauce and everything, and a glass of wine. I don't know. Who knows, right? I mean, life is weird. The world is small.
We almost made our trips coincide in California. So we're going to have to make a point of it in the future.
I will definitely go to Chicago. I will let you know, but
awesome.
I will definitely go and I will let you know. No, thank you very much for being here, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Well, and thank you very much for the opportunity. Love talking with you, Mateo. You're awesome. Take care now. Bye-bye.